Hey there, hi, welcome to the channel. I am Garrett, and in this video we are talking all about your home decor. So many people say they don't know what's holding back their home, and it usually is just some of these styling principles they're not putting into place when it comes to their home decor. Now, this is not a video where I'm just trying to sell you a bunch of stuff, telling you it's gonna fix your space. This is all about the facts of what is going to make your home look beautiful and how to use decor correctly. Now, the first thing we have to talk about is the fact that a lot of people are not using their decor in the manner that is the style of their home, right? Like if you have a modern home, if that's the style you like, you need to use a modern styling of your decor. If you have a traditional home, you need to use a traditional styling so that it fits the space. Let's talk about what that looks like in your home. Now, you could have a space like mine where you like a mix of all sorts of things. In my home, I'm going to look to layer things together in an interesting way. So I'm looking for decor that's a little bit lower. I don't like a lot of tall things all over the place. I want it to be low because that feels a little bit more modern in the styling. But then I'm going to opt for some things like having a little bit of symmetry. That's a little more traditional. So that works for my home and it fits the vibe. I will also do things like layering pieces together of artwork, right? I might have something hung on the wall and I may have something overlapping that so that I get this really soft feel when it comes to my decor. So it's not structured and harsh that, traditional styling can sometimes be, but it's also not, super soft and low and minimal like modern styling should be. Now, modern styling, we want things to be lower, right? We don't want to have a lot of play in different heights because that feels a little bit more traditional. It's a little bit more of like an over-the-top feeling. And if that's what you want, that's what you want. But with modern styling, we want things to be very low and very minimal. We want stacked books with a small item on top, right? We want something that's a little bit bigger that is actually at the same scale. So a lower floral arrangement would be something we do in a modern space. Here's an example of a modern styled space that uses modern decor, and it makes sense. You can see all of the decor on the coffee table sits nice and low, and you can clearly see past it towards the TV. The styling of the shelves within the cabinet, all of it is very symmetrical, it's very even, but it's also very low so that it fits in the shelf. All of them look simple and refined. And these are all things you can do in your home. You first need to address what is your style, and then what style of pieces are we bringing in, and then how are we styling them. Once you get that laid out, your home will make sense and your decor will look good instead of just being like a cluttered mess of things that don't make sense for the space it is in. And your frustration will go away, and visually, I will be pleased because your home will be stunning thanks to these tips. Now, if you need some extra tips that are personalized to you, I recommend working with a designer like myself. You could always book a one-on-one virtual consultation with me where you can show me around your home and I can answer some of the difficult questions you have, whether that is just in the styling of your decor or a furniture layout. Maybe you're struggling to choose some finishes during a renovation. I have got your back and I've got you covered. So be sure you head to the link in the description box or go to intro.co/GarrettLeChic. Currently, I am running a sale of $50 off of a 30-minute or longer consultation session with me. You can book that using the same link. The price already reflects a discount, but the sale ends today, December 7th, tonight. So be sure you get down there, check out the link, book that call with me so we can get you in, and you also have 30 days to book that out. So be sure you head to the description box, check out all of the terms of the sale, and I will see you over there. Now, another mistake people make when they are choosing decor for their home is that they're using way too much contrast in their decor. Now, you're like, Garrett, what does that mean? Because I literally don't know what you're talking about. Well, it means a couple of different things. Contrast could be in height. You could use something that's really tall and something that's very low. That's a big contrast and it's dramatic, so it draws attention to it. Or you could be using a lot of color. You could use black and white, and you could use, like a bright, vibrant color too, or you could just have a lot of different colors all mixed together. You have to have decor that makes sense and doesn't distract from everything else, because then it just becomes clutter, it becomes static, and we're just like, our eyes are moving everywhere trying to take everything in, and it's way too overwhelming. Now, when it comes to using color, you want things to be a little bit more tonal with your decor, because that's what's going to stop everybody from being like their eyes are drawn to it. So I'm going to choose colors that already exist within the space that I'm looking to enhance. You all know when it comes to decorating, I have a 3-color rule. I want to use 3 colors in 3 different ways. ways. Accessories are one of those ways. So I'm going to pull from colors I already have and use that in my accessorizing, but I'm not going to do so in a way that is jarring or that doesn't make any sense with the rest of what's going on. If I need to connect two colors together, that's the time when I'm going to use an accent, because I need that accent. I need the eye to move over there. But for the most part, I'm looking for decor and accessories that either match the color of the piece of furniture they're on, they match each other, maybe they reference back to the upholstery on the sofa, the draperies, or whatever's in that space, so that I'm not adding a lot of extra tones in that don't align with anything or make any sense. Here is a prime example. This space is really tonal, it's beautiful, and I love the accessorizing here because it very much ties into what is going on in the rest of the space. It's just adding more to the color. We have this like matte finish glass pieces all over the place. I love that. It looks beautiful. I love the oversized nature of these pieces. And that is another mistake that people make, is that they think they can go small on their decor because it's just little stuff all around, right? It's just adding in. No, you need to get larger pieces so that they don't disappear. So they don't just look like a bunch of clutter. So they're not just dust collectors and catchers, right? They're big, beautiful pieces. They make that statement, and you don't have to add a bunch of clutter into the space. So using larger decor is going to make everything feel just more appropriately scaled and a little bit easier to work with, right? We don't have to have as many small pieces to fill up the same amount of space. Now, of course, a lot of people are gonna have smaller pieces, right? Like little tchotchkes, knickknacks, things you collect. Maybe you live by the beach and you have a collection of shells, right? It's gonna look like a bunch of shells. You have to find a way to corral these together or make them make sense. You could get a beautiful shadow box. You could get a tray to set them on. You could do a stack of books, oversized books, with a small tray, with those small pieces in the tray. Love that. Beautiful. You can also do a cabinet of some sort that is maybe not an accessorized piece, like it's not just a bunch of decor that's sitting out, but it's kind of a curio cabinet where you can display your things that are corralled together so they look less busy and less like clutter and more like an intentional collection in your space. And the good thing about it is you can also rotate some of those smaller pieces through. So when you're looking for accessories and decor, you want to make sure that you're not using too much variation in height, because that's going to be just too dramatic and too much contrast. But you also want to make sure you're using pieces that are large enough to make sense. So if I get one large piece, I'm going to look for another one that's slightly smaller and one that's slightly smaller, so that we get that transitional, that like gradient in size effect to really smooth out the feeling of the space. And so that we just are not drawing too much attention, we're not taking too much away. Also, there are just some styling principles you want to use, like we talked about. If you're looking for modern design, actually back to this reference photo, the styling here is beautiful because a lot of the pieces feel a little more traditional in the like nature of the glass with like the stopper in it, but they're laid out in a very linear fashion on this piece of furniture. So it feels more modern, even though the pieces may be more traditional. And that's a really good way to style a space in your style and use these principles to make sure it feels elevated, that you're not drawing too much attention to all of your decor, that we can actually see your space and how beautiful it is and the hard work you've put into it, and probably the money you've spent on creating this space. So you have to make sure your accessorizing is nailed in order for it just to make sense and for us to see the beautiful work you've done. Okay, everyone, look who's here to say hello. Actually, he doesn't want to say hello. He was napping on my lap and I decided that he needed to be in a video and say hi to everyone. Hello. Hi, sweet boy. You're so pretty. Do you want to say hi to everyone at home? He says, I don't see anybody there. What's going on? That don't make no sense. I know. Look at you. You're so funny. You're so pretty. Okay, well, what he actually wanted to tell you was that this is the opportune moment for you to hit the subscribe button and join us and become a part of our LeChic family. All it takes is hitting that subscribe button to change the decor and the styling and the design of your home and change your life at that, because we are saving the world from bad design one home at a time. So please join us, hit that subscribe button. We would also greatly appreciate if you took a moment and gave this video a like. Don't forget to give this video a little bit of hype too to get it shared across the platform. Okay, I'm gonna let you go back to your nap. How does that sound? You can lay right here in my lap. You like that? Oh yeah, that's cute. Okay. Now, you all know I love sharing my little puppy dogs with you because that's very personal. And that's something else your decor has to be. It has to be personal. It has to make sense for you and who you are. It has to say something. And that's a mistake a lot of people don't realize they're making, is that their decor is just stuff that doesn't really mean anything to them. And I believe your decor has to be personal. Your home should tell a story of who you are. So you have to have stuff that just makes sense in your space and that means something to you in a meaningful way. That's how I like to decorate. I have collections of a couple of things, and so I'll use them, I'll rotate them through, I'll switch them up seasonally or just as I feel like it, and that's great. Sometimes I have one of my Airtaste statues behind me. Right now I have my Wedgwood vase here. I love Wedgwood. That's something I collect, so I have a lot of it around my house. And for you, that may mean something else, and you have to determine what that is. I also believe in using family photos. I love like a tabletop full of family photos. It's one of my favorite things ever. Silver frames are actually super on trend right now, so maybe that's something that you could work with. It fits a lot of different styles, but family photos always feel personal, and you can also rotate them through seasonally. So like come Easter, come Christmas, come whatever your favorite holiday is, put out the family photos from that time, the last couple of years or whatever, and I love that. That's amazing. But look at this example photo here. You can have things that are personal to you and just have it make no sense and not look good. There's a lot of things here that clearly are curated and collected, but they're just not laid out in a way that looks good or makes any sense. So in this instance, I would change quite a bit of what's happening here. The space feels a little bit like a mix of modern and traditional, like the actual architectural style. Some of the furniture pieces are modern, but we have a more traditional rug. We have a little bit of like a boho-y vibe also happening with all of the plants. The accessorizing doesn't make any sense here. It just feels like a bunch of junk on a table. Clearly, this person has traveled and they've curated these things. So why not get a coffee table book from all of the places you've been to, and then we can stack and layer them together and have some of these beautiful pieces on top of those books so that they feel a little bit more elevated, they feel a little more intentional, and I'd use a more linear layout when it comes to this arrangement, right? So I'd use a book here, a book here, a book here, and I'd stack those things and corral them together on top of those books just so it makes more sense and feels more intentional. It also spread this out a little bit. It would feel more modern. It would feel more beautiful, and you'd actually be able to see everything instead of seeing just a bunch of cluttered stuff all around. Now, another mistake a lot of people make when it comes to their decor is that they just don't use lights. They're not using enough lighting in their decor, and that's where lighting is really great. This is where layered lighting comes in. This is where lamps come in. We can even do spotlights in this sort of situation if they're used appropriately. I would even go as far as to say picture lighting can be decor and really advance your space and your style. So incorporate lamps and lighting into your decor. It is necessary to create that soft, warm, and welcoming glow. And a lot of people are like, oh, Garrett, you always tell us to put a lamp in every corner and use all of these lamps and put them everywhere. Yes, I want you to, and I think that you should. And you can incorporate them as decor. So if you can find a smaller table lamp, I love that. A little table lamp, I think that's so like darling and sweet and cute, but it's also not overwhelming height-wise, so it makes a little bit more sense. If you can find something like that, great. You can also get rechargeable lights that, you just plug in when they die. You can set them onto the coffee table in your space. I love that because right now floating furniture is very in, and so if you have a floated living room arrangement, maybe you get rechargeable light bulbs for the lamps on the side tables. That way we don't have to see a bunch of messy wires and stuff, but you can incorporate a lot of lighting into those spaces. For my lamps, I'm gonna do like a 2700 temperature bulb because I want it to be very, very warm. So when it's nighttime, it just is like moody and glowing and soft and beautiful and relaxing. As where if you use a cooler toned bulb, it's going to feel bright and harsh and sterile and giving hospital vibes, which maybe you like that, but I'm not the one. So I want my home to be very soft. Use lighting in your accessories and your decor. And that could be just like, I have a candle here that sometimes I light, right? Like that could be close enough to lighting. And I also love a candle as decor to entice the senses, right? Like the scent in your home, like love that. Another big mistake people make when they are using their decor and they're accessorizing and they're trying to do it all and make their home look beautiful is that they are not using odd numbers. Now, when it comes to decor, you can have different sizes, you can have different shapes and styles and all of the things, but decor always looks better when you're using an odd number. So instead of using 2 pieces next to each other, we use 3. And no matter what decor you're looking for, if you're out there shopping, if you need a new piece, check out my Amazon storefront, linked in the description box down below for some of my favorite picks to really elevate your home. But also have a look at this space here because it's a beautiful home. It's gorgeous. It's a multi-million-dollar home. I mean, look at this view. It's stunning. It's stunning. I can tell this home is expensive, but the decor is not good and it's holding back everything. And I always tell this to you. It does not matter how expensive something is or isn't. That doesn't mean it's great. Just because the cost is associated with something doesn't mean that is the best thing. This home is probably very expensive, but it doesn't look like it because the decor just looks like it's haphazard and poorly thought out, and it doesn't look right. Maybe the decor is from a thrift store. Maybe it's from a box store. Maybe it is all custom and ultra luxury and expensive. It doesn't look good, so I don't care where it came from because the styling is not correct. Now, it could be fixed pretty easily. What is this floral arrangement? It looks like weeds in a vase. So that could be swapped out. I would do a lower floral arrangement in the same vase. The vase itself is fine. I would probably do something like a Norfolk pine type of arrangement. Shop some Norfolk pine pics on my Amazon storefront in this vase, because it would just be a little bit lower, it'd be a little bit brighter and fresher, have some of the greenery from outside brought inside. Now that would address the height issue we have going on with this arrangement. Then I would do something else in place of the open coffee table book. I think the height just feels a little diminutive compared to the vase, so I'd like to see something a little taller there. Maybe it's a coffee table book that's stacked on one another. Maybe there's a decorative storage box on top of it or something, just to add a little bit of extra height there, and I'd add a candle into the mix. So we have 3 items on this table, or 3 corralled, stacked sort of things, right? One is the vase, one would be the coffee table book, whether there's something stacked on top of it or not, and the third would be the candle. That way we have an odd number, it feels more natural. Plus on a round table, you really need to have 3 things at least so that it mimics the shape of the table and we don't get like a linear line on a round table. Makes no sense. Just because something is expensive, be it the house it's in or the decor itself, does not mean it is the best thing for that space. So use some of these design principles to elevate your home, to make your decor beautiful and stunning and LeChic approved. Shop my Amazon storefront if you need to get any decor to elevate your space. But no matter what you do, use these design principles to elevate your home and make it look stunning. Now that we have gotten your decor straightened out and you've got the tips to make it happen, let's talk about some design mistakes that are making your home look and feel so much more stressful than it needs to be. Be sure you straighten them out and check out what they are in this video right over here, and I will see you over there.